I will try to stay within camera range, but you guys have to be honest with me. My last 3 or 4 speaking engagements, I've gained this tremendous ability to clear out a room. Is the MLS becoming boring? Is that what's... it's always been boring. Thank you very much. What's your name? I'm not going to turn your services off when I get back to the office. Almost. But no, there are a lot of important things going on in the multiple listing service over the past 6 months. Really, since we took on the statewide initiative from CAR, there has been always a lot of activity being generated from the multiple listing service. And as you guys know, CRMLS has got a lot of things going as far as expanding and moving the bar for real estate professionals, not only in the San Gabriel area, but across the state. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into some of the slides. I do want to give you guys an overview of where we're at. There have been a lot of new products and services coming out, and we're going to be changing the mix even more over the next 6 to 8 months. We'll talk a little bit about the future as well. As was mentioned, CRMLS now is made up of over 75,000 professionals in the state of California, 38 realtor associations that participate at some level with CRMLS. And really, what does this mean for you? It means for you that you have access to about 70% of the active listings in the state of California. The board of directors has been very active in making sure that either through having multiple listing services join CRMLS or through what we call reciprocal data share agreements, we have given you guys exposure to great portions of the state of California. And we're going to continue to push that effort forward. Not that we have an expectation that you are going to be doing business into San Francisco or into Red Bluff, somewhere in Northern California. But you guys are in a relationship game, and our board of directors recognizes that. And we know that keeping relationships alive, no matter where your clients are going, is important to you. And being the trusted source of real estate, not only to your clients, but as an industry that you guys have been given the information that you need to better service clients and future clients. Part of the problem that we face in real estate, and it was an unintentional thing that occurred, is that oftentimes the consumer has so much more information, breadth of information, than you guys have at your fingertips. And that's because there are borders to multiple listing services. Our board of directors doesn't necessarily believe that everybody has to join CRMLS, but we do believe in a system of no borders. And that means that the breadth of information that you guys have will match what is available to the consumers through these third-party websites. And we'll talk about a couple like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com. But the board of directors remains committed to increasing the footprint of the listing data that's available in the Matrix platform to you on a day-to-day basis. And would love to get feedback from you guys. I'll give you my email address at the end of the presentation. Let's talk a little bit first about some of the drama that's going on. Hopefully everybody knows about what's going on with Zillow, Trulia, ListHub. I've been trying for a good 8 years of my career to communicate and educate about syndication, and there's been more education about syndication over the last 6 months with everything that's been going on than we've been able to accomplish and get to people to recognize in the 8 years prior to that. Zillow, we'll go through this, on January 7th, negotiations broke down between Zillow and ListHub. Board of Directors of CRMLS had made it a policy that listing data, if it was going to be distributed from CRMLS to Zillow, Trulia, and a number of other websites, brokers and agents had to utilize either ListHub or Point 2. In September of last year, Point 2 went away. It was purchased by ListHub. It really only became a broker-only premise for our membership. And on January 7th, Zillow announced that they would no longer be delivering data via List Hub for our brokerages. And that was going to occur on April 7th. Subsequent to that, our board of directors did vote to maintain the policy at CRMLS. CRMLS is a broker opt-in organization. We do not send your data to any third-party website unless you have opted in, either via List Hub or through your franchisor or some other mechanism to have your data delivered to all of these different websites. They maintained that policy, but given the fact that List Hub was no longer going to be able to deliver data for our brokerage community to Zillow and long-term Trulia, they decided to build a mechanism into the Matrix platform, and we'll talk about that a little bit when I get to the end of this slide. What happened after that was Zillow and Trulia had entered into a merger agreement, and on February 17th, that merger agreement came to fruition, and Trulia and Zillow are now merged into one company called the Zillow Group. On February 18th, List Hub announced that because of the merger, they would no longer be delivering data to Trulia. And they had 5 days, brokers had 5 days to decide how they were going to deliver data to Trulia if they wanted it to go there. On February 23rd, a federal judge granted a stay and a temporary restraining order hearing, which occurs today. Okay? Subsequent to that, CRMLS did negotiate a deal with Zillow, the Zillow Group, in order to build a mechanism for our brokerage community to deliver data to both Zillow and Trulia. Why was that done? 95% of the listings within CRMLS are showing up on Zillow and Trulia. I just heard $10, is that? Okay, cool. Checks made payable to Art Carter, and I'll pass the money over. 95% of the listings within the CRMLS system are showing up on Zillow and Trulia. CRMLS isn't making those decisions for the brokerage community. The brokerage community is making those decisions on their own, and the vast majority of listing data is showing up on Zillow and Trulia. And because Zillow and Trulia were no longer going to have a relationship with List Hub, how many brokers do I have in the room? I almost guarantee you guys were receiving phone calls from Zillow and Trulia with contracts attached to it, asking you guys to sign an agreement to continue to have your listing data show up on the Zillow Group's websites. Those listing agreements were 3 pages long and provided very little protection whatsoever for you. CRMLS has negotiated a deal for brokerages within the CRMLS system that give you greater exposure, not only to the listing agent on each one of the attributions on the side, what we call the three-headed monster. A lot of agents are paying to have their listing or their contact information placed beside listings in certain geographical areas. Listings going forward from CRMLS now will have the listing agent in the prominent role with your contact information. Yesterday, we put the ability for you guys in the roster for you to upload your photos into the CRMLS system, because we want to facilitate your ability to have your photo and your contact information on syndicated listings out there. Okay? We do ask one thing, that the photos have been taken within the last 3 years.
Sorry.
I went to my technical team and I said, can we block file dates that are more than 3 years old? And they said, yeah, we could, but do we really want to? And I said, yeah, but no. That was just a joke. I've always jokingly said that I'd like to see that in the rules, that it would be a violation, that if your photos and marketing materials were more than 3 years old, you would receive a $1,000 fine, but nobody would agree with me on that one. So. Okay, so where we're at right now is the deal is going to be signed today with Zillow and Trulia. And on April 7th, in the Matrix platform, brokers are going to have 3 choices, actually. One, do you want to turn syndication choices over to the agents in your office? Yes, no. And if you say no, then the brokerage has to decide, do I want my listings to go to Trulia and Zillow? Yes, no. If you say yes, CRMLS will begin delivering those listings to Zillow and Trulia on your behalf, updated every 15 minutes. Yes?
If you say yes, can you later on recant and say no?
Yes.
Okay.
And once you say no, part of the contract is that Zillow and Trulia are required to take down everything from that listing out of the system. Photos, everything. Okay? So you guys have that option, and we have given you guys some pretty significant protections of your data that you guys were not going to get if you signed the deal yourselves. Any brokers in the room that signed that 3-page agreement because you were unaware of what CRMLS was doing, or you were concerned that your listing data was not going to go to Zillow, there is a 30-day out provision in most of the contracts that I've seen. Invoke that 30-day out, because if you don't, you will not have the protections of the contract that CRMLS has negotiated on your behalf. Okay? Clear as mud?
Yep.
Okay. So CRMLS has negotiated the ability for you to deliver your listing data to Zillow and Trulia if you choose. CRMLS is not going to make that choice for you. We will put out significant communications. How many of you guys read the I-dates when they come up on the Matrix system? Those of you who are raising your hands will be lying to me because you know you know, when there's like a quarter of a second in between the time you log in and you say, I read this, we know that you're not really reading it. So. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the products and services. One of the things that, take a look at the I-dates, because you're going to get a lot more information on how to sign up for this Zillow Trulia program. Plus, you're going to see a lot of information about the new products and services that we have coming out. There are 42 different products and services available to you as part of your fees that you're paying to West San Gabriel on a monthly basis. I almost guarantee you guys are spending money on things that you don't need to because you're unaware of services that CRMLS has available to you. Okay? And those suite of services are changing constantly. In about probably another 2 to 3 weeks, on the portal, when you guys log into the Matrix system, the portal screen for West San Gabriel will have a store attached to it as well, and there's going to be an additional 18 products that are available for purchase if you so choose. Let's talk a little bit about some of the new things. How many of you guys have heard about the Home Seekers app? Those of you who did read the I-Day have heard about it. Home Seekers app. It is a new app that is available to you as a subscriber of CRMLS. There is an agent-facing function and there's a consumer-facing function. Okay? You can invite your consumers in. It will be branded. And once you upload your photo into the system, it will have your photo inside the app for your clients. It will be branded with your brokerage name. It will be branded with your contact information. And when your consumers interact with this application that is on their cell phone, on their iPad, you will have the ability to see what they're doing, things that they're favoriting, and we're in the process over the next quarter of bringing all that information off of the app into the Matrix system as well. Okay? Also, the thing that this has that our other app that we put out in October does not have is access to tax information off of Realtors. Okay? So some pretty cool stuff for you guys to utilize out there. One of the other things that we've rolled out recently, January 15th, is a product called Cloud Streams. One of the things that we know that we have to improve in the Matrix system is the auto email function. This goes a long ways towards doing that. We hear complaints all the time that my clients are going to Zillow, they're going to Redfin. I don't want them to do that. Can't we just provide something that's branded to the agents to communicate to the clients? Cloud Streams is a very Pinterest-like product, picture-based. It is a lot more pleasing to look through. We are adding in additional search features to it over the coming weeks, and it is a product that I would highly recommend that you guys take a look at. I'm going to give you a number, 1-800-925-1525. That is our tech support at CRMLS. They are there from 8:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday, and 10 to 3 on the weekends. Please call us. We can walk you through setting up any of these products. One of the other things that we're moving towards, my tech team has been hard at work in providing the ability for you guys to interact with the multiple listing service in multiple ways. I love the Matrix system. It is a cool product, but there are other people up and down the state that want to access the multiple listing service with products that they're used to as well. And we're going to be adding in an additional product called Paragon in the coming months, and it'll be available to you. You'll be able to choose which interface that you use. If you feel comfortable, you've been trained on the Matrix system, that's fine. If you want to try something new, something with a different interface, we're going to be allowing for that long term as well. Okay? With that, I'm going to open it up to questions. I know that I've gone over a lot of stuff and some of it very quickly. It doesn't even have to be about anything that I brought up. If you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand and I will call on you. Yes?
Sandy Court keeps changing their systems. Are we now able to get back and forth pretty easily?
Yes, there's actually a link in the external links section of CRMLS that it's one click and it's what we call single sign-on. And so you'll be able to click and pop up the Sandicor system, and you'll have full search capabilities within Sandicor, and offers a compensation and cooperation flow. Okay?
Morning, Art. Thank you for coming. This is terrific information, and these are changing times, and we need to be on top of it, and we also need to be supporting you in any way we can so that you can make it grow, and we can get the information. My question is regarding, well, let me give you some background information. The other night I was talking to a city council member, and he just blasted me because in the public remarks, it said that there was an addition that was done without permits. And it made it sound like the realtor was a party to, what was going on and how it was being handled. And I mean, obviously that shouldn't be in the public remarks. But I also was told recently that the LA County tax assessor is trying to get access to the MLS. And I can understand where it would be a useful tool to a tax assessor. Maybe it would help them get more accurate values. But I'm also concerned that we aren't incriminating ourselves by putting in information. Almost all of them have a, buyer to do their own due diligence as far as permits and things like that. But where are we at with that, and do they have access to the MLS, or how's that?
What we've worked out with the LA County assessor is that what was happening in the past is that they had appraisers on staff who were licensed appraisers and were joining the multiple listing service and not telling us that they were part of the appraiser's office. So that was something that was unacceptable at the CRMLS level because they're having unfettered access to the MLS without CRMLS knowing about it was not the most palatable of situations. So we did work out a deal probably about 3 or 4 years ago with the county assessor's office where they're given access to fields that they need to have access to and not to the whole database as a whole, such as property descriptions and things along those lines. They've also prohibited themselves from ever utilizing the data to go after unpermitted uses in properties as well. So contractually, they've committed themselves to not utilizing the MLS database to do that. But one of the things that is important to them from property descriptions is, and the photos, is it tells them about the current state of the property as well that helps them from that standpoint. So, but they have promised that they will not utilize the MLS database to ever go after unpermitted uses or reassess based off of.
Do you trust them?
Well, and that's one of the things that I would go to you guys. If you ever find a situation where that has occurred, then we want to hear about it. And actually, I do, because this was negotiated at the highest level with the assessor themselves, and we've developed and maintained relationships with the assessors as it has changed over the last 4 to 5 years.
Thank you.
Yes.
Greg, it's not a question, but is a remark that your tech people are very good, very prompt, and very competent. Yeah, the service is great.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You know, we made a change about 4 years ago that we quit calling our technical support people technical support because we didn't want that idea. They're called customer care now. And it may not seem like a big difference, but they're trained in different ways. We started the process of, as we had turnover, we didn't replace them with necessarily technical people. We replaced them with customer care people that understood how to handle situations and rectify problems for people. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. What else? How's everybody like the rules? Ouch. Lorraine.
Thank you for coming today, Art. Yeah, just yesterday, I had someone come and approach me with a way of handling the SELs. Do you think you could maybe briefly tell them how to? Thank you.
I can barely spell SEL, so I'll try to help you out. SELs, which is the seller's exclusion to list, basically meaning that they do not want their listing in the multiple listing service for a period of time. Okay? The only time that a listing is released from the obligation of going into the multiple listing service is if the seller has affirmatively noted in writing that they do not want their listing in the multiple listing service. You as a broker, you as an agent, cannot make that decision for them, okay? And when they have made that decision and put it in writing, you must transmit that form to CRMLS within 48 hours of it being signed. We get calls from people constantly saying, there's a property at 123 Main Street that has a sign up on front and I don't see it in the multiple listing service. And the multiple listing service must be able to answer to them, well, we have an SEL on file for that property. They have a right to not publish it in the multiple listing service. Okay?
So you guys are keeping a database of those
Yes, we are.
SELs on record?
Correct.
Starting,
Starting with West San Gabriel for... Well, you're putting me on the spot here. We started with West San Gabriel, I believe, in July of 2013.
thank you. Because I had a case, so I
Okay.
just want to know.
All right.
They should have been kept here prior to that, but I can tell you within CRMLS, we do have that ability. Yes?
How about the days on market? So if they keep it off the market for a week because they want to clean it out and declutter,
Okay.
but then it goes to 7 days on market as soon as you list it.
Yes, because it was being marketed. DOM and CDOM do not stand for days on MLS. They stand for days on market. And just because it was off market, or just because it was on SEL, sorry, does not mean that it was not being marketed. If you do not want the property to be shown The correct method is not to get an SEL signed on it. The correct method is to list it, put it in the multiple listing service, and put it on hold. We recognize that there are issues with that some agents are going and showing listings that are being placed on hold. It is a violation. Ops is mulling over our operations committee is mulling over some ways that we can hide those listings that are placed on hold from the general public, so they're not being shown to where agents who are in a low inventory situation are going to show a hold listing anyways. Okay?
Good.
The correct method is, if you do not want the property being shown, is do not put it under an SEL, put it in the multiple listing service, put it on hold. It is an off-market status. But if it's on hold, you cannot be marketing it with a sign, with flyers, with anything that goes through a traditional marketing phase. Okay? If it's on an SEL, you can market it. You can put it on your website. There's a wide variety of things that you can do, but the SEL is an off MLS situation. If they say they want it off the MLS for 7 days, and on the 8th day you put it in, your days on market will show 8 days, because it goes from the contract date.
And if you put it on hold, there's only
There-
the one day
it'll
that
show
was listed?
1 day.
Thank you.
Okay? So if you're concerned about days on market, that's the mechanism that you use, okay? The days that, the mechanism that count days on market are active, backup, and withdrawn.
What is being done by the agencies that are doing cancel listing and relisting, cancel and relisting, so it shows up new, even though it has a CDM stated there, but they're putting it back as a new listing?
Well, because it's inaccurate information. And if it's reported to us, we request the contract, because a lot of times they're not having them sign a new contract, they're just taking it in and out of the MLS. And any listing in the multiple listing service must represent a real contract between the listing broker and the seller. Okay? And there is one instance per contract in each property type. Okay? You can list properties in multiple property types. If you have a situation where it's available for lease and for sale, you can put it in 2 property types. Okay? But in each property type, there should only be one representation of a listing for every contract that's been signed. And there was silence.
You can't put it for land and for a house if it's a tear down or.
Yes, you can. I was just giving one example of what you could do. Anything else? Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.